Hello and welcome back to another reaction, in this occasion, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, episode 30. Yes, it's been a tough moment, a tough weeks for our protagonists. Uh, all their plans have been crumbling down because now they realize just how powerful their enemies are. And I just not mean powerful in the sense of they have a lot of power, like a very powerful alchemists, which they are honestly, and they have physical power, yes, that is true, but also obviously political power, as we saw in previous episodes, how all the schemes, all the thinking that Mustang did was just invalidated by obviously one sweep movement. They retired everybody. Well, they did not retire. They move away everybody that was able to help him, and of course, the most important member of their I don't know how to call it. I want to say club. Their betrayal. I don't know. Their coup is obviously so close to the president, to the Führer, well, not the Führer, to the King Bradley, to King Bradley. Actually, yeah, he's a Führer. Forget about it. Yes, is so close to King Bradley that yes, he cannot do anything. So, as I've been saying in previous episodes, yeah, this is probably the lowest point for our protagonist, but hopefully from now on we're going to see something new, something how they're going to fight against this powerful current they have right now. So, I cannot wait, and I'm not going to make you wait. Obviously, I just need to remind you that if you are not subscribed and you wish to enjoy more content of the channel, please consider a subscription, and of course, turn on the bell for notifications. If you like this video, give it a like, and of course leave a comment so I know what you enjoy, and even from the episode of my reaction. But anyway, yes, let's not waste any more time and watch the episode, shall we? Okay, I'm back. I just watched a second time the 30th episode of the series. This was a heavy episode also. We saw obviously a glimpse of what the Ishbala War really was, and obviously with the information that we already have of said war, how it started, it really creates a very disturbing picture around this war. Obviously, we know about this one from the beginning of the show, and obviously for those who have seen the previous series, we have known that for a long time. But I do not remember if the last series really go this deep into the Ishbala War. And I mean treating it like it is, not romanticizing, not hiding anything from the public, not trying to say something else about this terrible war, but actually speaking about war. Really giving you an example of the atrocities of war. And this is obviously made on purpose. So yeah, you can start to understand just how terrible everything that is going on in the series really is. Obviously we start from the real past and we finally met. I thought at the beginning it was the father, but no, it's actually just the master of Roy Mustang. And we met how Hawkeye, Risa Hawkeye, and obviously Mustang meet each other. And yeah, obviously she's the daughter of the master, the master alchemist of Roy Mustang. And it is fascinating to see the journey, because again, this is obviously on purpose, because we saw the eyes, we saw the face of Roy, and we saw the face of Risa, and we saw how innocent they look, how their ideals are still intact, how they are not seeing the real world, or how the real military world really is. But obviously when we met them again in the battlefield, that is something completely different. We saw their eyes especially, because obviously, as I said before, eyes are the window to the soul. And we saw those eyes and how they look tired, how they look just defeated. As Roy said, we have the eyes of murderers. And yes, all of them, all the characters that we know before, Hughes, Mustang, obviously Risa, and obviously we saw a glimpse in the last episode of Armstrong, but we saw a very terrifying face of Armstrong in this one too. So yes, we start to see that change. We start to see just what war is capable of doing to all the people. We saw the previous one when they are still innocent, when they did not see the murders that were about to happen there, and then of course we saw the aftermath. Obviously, not everybody is like this. Not everybody is conflicted by killing people. We saw somebody in special. We saw the Crimson Alchemist. I don't remember the name. I think it was Kimball. It was his last name, but I'm not entirely sure. And we saw how he really enjoy killing people. Because yes, there is no other word to say that. He enjoyed killing people. At the beginning, when the first we met, obviously it was in the first episode. We didn't know much information about him. At least I did not remember much about him. And I don't know if it was very heavily portrayed in the previous series. But here we get even less information about this guy. But at first, when they are just eating and trying to rationalize why they are doing this, why they are killing people, and he said, because it's our job, because yeah, you believe in your military, you're not going to kill people, come on, be realistic. And yes, this is obviously a way to rationalize. Here is still kind of disturbing, but you kind of understand where is this guy coming, that yes, this is our job, this is our work. But the next scene, when he received the Philosopher's Stone, that's when you notice, no, this guy is a complete murderer. He doesn't care about the lives of everybody else, he just wants to kill. And I guess the crimson comes from that, from the blood that well, spilling. He was spilling all this blood. Yes, we learn not only from the side, obviously, of Risa, which is telling the Ed, but actually we learn from the Dr. Marco side, and that is one of the most disturbing images that I could remember. Honestly, it's just awful the way these people are treating the other people. Before going to that, I'm going to give that to a special place later on, because yes, I need to speak about kind of the synopsis. It's not a synopsis, but I'm trying to understand the rest of the episode. Obviously, we start to see more about King Bradley, how he really is. He just didn't want to forgive the rest of the people in exchange for the high priest, because obviously there are other intentions back then, but actually because they have other plans. But the excuse that was said, because every single life matters the same, so I'm not going to exchange your life, which is worth the same of any other lives, for 10,000 of them. It's not equivalent exchange. And yes, the execution of the Ishbala people continue. This is important to notice, because, and again, the contrast between the beginning of the series and now the moment we are here. As I said before, at the beginning of the series, we have this image of King Bradley being this old grandpa that is trying to protect everybody, very kind and very generous. That yes, he's the head of the military, but he tried to save people, but he couldn't, and thanks to the circumstances, he needs to do this and that to protect the people and all of that. We have that image from the beginning of the series. But obviously, the more it advances, the more we see how ruthless he can really be. Obviously, first one with the physical side, that he doesn't care. He's going to kill anybody that is in his way, because that is his mission. But now we see the military size of that too, that we saw how ruthless he could be in the political and military size when he has all the power in the world, or at least in this country. And yes, we saw that, and we start to see the full change from the good grandpa to this ruthless and evil leader that doesn't consider the rest of the humans worthy, because he is no longer a human being. Yeah, and of course we said we know how Risa is so loyal to Mustang because he has a goal, and she has permission to kill him if he deviates from the path that he has put himself into. Obviously, we got comedic sides with the declaration of love. Well, not the declaration of love, the obvious love that Ed feels for Winry, and yeah, it's obvious for everybody else, but he's still denying that. And of course, the interaction between the little girl and, of course, Al. That's a very funny side. And of course, our final scene. Yeah, the final scene is very simple. We, or at least Envy, find Dr. Marco dead, thanks to the hands of Scar. But there is, I think, a deeper meaning behind this scene. Because, yeah, the words that were put in the wall that said vengeance, it's another different business. Vengeance, obviously, from Scar, but at least I think it's vengeance for Dr. Marco too. Before going to that, let's go back to that terrible scene that I speak about at the beginning. Once we saw what Dr. Marco did in the past, they created the Philosopher's Stone thanks to the bodies and blood and souls of the Ishbalas. That is brutal, because that is reducing a human being to something less than an animal. It's not even an animal. You will treat an animal better than that. You are treating these human beings as tools, literal tools. Not even conscious tools, not even something that is deserving, not even deserving an inch of respect. You are just treating them as objects, and that is the worst thing. Because yes, we see them suffering while this transmutation is happening. We see all the suffering there, and again, the reduction of their humanity. That is what that scene represents. The reduction and the complete annihilation of the humanity of these people. And yes, Dr. Marco is the one that is conflicted about this. We saw that. But the rest of the doctors, the rest of the military that is within this place, show no remorse, show no emotions. They are happy to see their experiment being a success. So yeah, that is a terrible, terrible scene, a very haunting scene for me, one of the worst scenes. And yes, obviously it's very similar to previous scenes when the bastard, and yes, as I said before, I'm not going to say his name, when they kill Hughes and all of that. Yeah, those are awful scenes. But obviously this one is kind of in the same level when you think about it. The dehumanization of these people, it's awful. And obviously, this is connected to the last scene with the vengeance that I saw. Obviously, it's vengeance from Scar against Marco, because Marco was part of this experiment. But actually, it's also a vengeance against the Homunculi and from Dr. Marco, because they are going to use him to produce more Philosopher's Stone, or as a sacrifice for something else. I don't know, for the perfect Philosopher's Stone, that is what I guess. But they took away one of the tools, because again, the Homunculi doesn't care about them as humans, they just see them as tools. And they took away a tool. And this is just perhaps a little dent to their plan, perhaps something small, but at least they are denting their plan, they are denting everything that they are damaging. Not much, and obviously to the same level they are been damaging the humanity, but they are damaging, they are starting to make damage. And this is something that perhaps is the beginning of the ascension of our heroes. That's what I hope, because all these episodes have been very I don't know, to the downside. They are terrible, because we have seen defeat after defeat after defeat of our heroes. So perhaps this is a point in which we're starting to grow again. Because we saw in the face of Envy that this is something that they do not want. Again, perhaps it's just a dent to the plans, but a dent nonetheless. Anyway, I think I exhausted the topic of this episode. A very dark one, in my opinion. One of the darkest episodes of the series. But anyway, yes, I have nothing else to say. So remember, if you enjoy the content of the channel, subscribe to it. And of course, turn the bell for notification. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. And of course, leave a comment. Yes, I have nothing else to say. But thank you for your attention. And see you on the next one. Bye.
Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, give it a like, so the algorithm from YouTube will help me out. And check my other videos, share them, and also why not subscribe to my channel and join this community. And as always, I want to thank you for your attention, your likes, and even your dislikes, your comments, which is something I always look forward to read. And yeah, once more, thanks and see you on the next one.